Hello there! Welcome to Pints and Quarts, a show presented by Craft Beer Nation. Today is August the 13th, 2015. Well, this is the part of the intro where I would normally tell you who our special guest is. Tonight, though, a scheduling mishap has prevented our friends from DC Brow from making their appearance. Never fear, we are rescheduling them for sometime in the fall, and this week there seems to be a lot of news to chat about. So let's don't waste any more time getting started. Pour that beer into a glass and get comfortable. Oh, and please take a few seconds to subscribe to our YouTube, Stitcher, or iTunes channels.
Time now for a look back at the last week in the craft beer industry. Pour a cold one and sit back for an all-new episode of Pints and Quarts, presented by Craft Beer Nation.
All right. Like I said, we normally have a special guest. President Obama couldn't make it tonight. I know he wanted to talk about his White House porter. I know he's a craft beer guy, so we're going to get him after he gets out of the White House. I know we're going to book that guy on Pints and Quarts. We just have to. Yeah. When he's done running for something and we can't damage his reputation any I mean, it might cost him a few thousand on the lecturing circuit, but hey, so we've got just a panel of us here tonight. We've got Michael Tangen. Michael, thank you for coming back. It's good to see you again. And some regulars, Randy, Charles, Gill, myself, Matt. Let's just kind of dive into it, guys. What kind of things did we see this week that we want to talk about?
There was a smorgasbord of news this week.
There were some pretty big stories.
There's a lot of this since last week. There's a lot happening.
Yeah. We don't even have it on the list, but New Belgium's Kim Jordan is Sam Calagione. She's going to step back out of the CEO role and take probably beer ambassador. We've met her a few times at events, and she is really cut out for selling beer in a one-on-one conversation. Yeah. So she is probably not going to work any less with her new gig.
Well, she's still going to be the chairperson of the board.
Yeah. All right.
So I wonder if I think it's the same that Sam kind of thing that Sam did, right? A similar thing because he's still on the board as well.
So yeah. I think Sam stepped down as CEO, but he retains the president title or something like that. And they promoted her COO to CEO or something like that. So, I mean,
bunch of letters.
Sam needs to worry about others. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think New Belgium grew in a size that I think it's important for them to have, tasks kind of a divide. And she is the face of the company, no doubt. So, I think they're going to still do it as they always did.
And I'm not sure if this is by design or just happenstance, but the person that took over for Kim, I don't have her name right now, but it's a her. So they're the trends of women in craft beer have been what they've been, and New Belgium is keeping it going. Got another woman at the helm, so kudos to them.
Yeah. It's Christine Perrick is stepping in for her. So, well, not stepping in. She's been promoted. That's got to be a pretty good. That's got to be a pretty good day for you, right?
Right. Oh, no doubt.
Hey, you're the CEO.
Right, of New Belgium Brewing.
Yeah, of the coolest big brewery out there.
So, Matt, one article.
Do it, Randy.
That spoke about the craft beer cities across the country, and this article I found was from Market Watch, and the article is about the 10 cities that love craft beer the most, and there we go. The article speaks to how the U.S. has gained 699 breweries since mid-2014, and there's still another 1,755 breweries in the planning stages. At the end of 2014, this really speaks volume to this is a prime example of a state that loves craft beer as opposed to a city. At the end of 2014, 431 of the nation's 3,400 breweries were in California.
California.
Wow.
Color me surprised.
And then Oregon, Washington State, and Colorado had more than 705 breweries combined. So in total, that's 8% of the U.S. states, accounting for nearly a third of the nation's brewing facilities, right?
Yeah. So the West Coast loves craft.
But you have to take in consideration the population too, right?
The population of California, not necessarily population of Colorado, Oregon, and Washington.
Let's see, when you also factor in Oregon's history, I mean, for a very long time, they were one of the top leaders in craft beer production. In terms of the number of breweries.
And they have a high number of breweries per capita, too.
Yep.
Speaking of which, Vermont has 40 breweries. And so they have more breweries. They have more breweries per every 100,000 adults, which is 8.6, than Florida. Florida's a much bigger state, has a much bigger population. So Florida's breweries per every 100,000 adults is 0.8. So.
I think there's one more factor is like how laws work in those states too, right? That's another thing.
Yeah. There really isn't. You really can't say that there's any preferred region, right? I guess if you're from the West Coast, you're from San Diego, you're like, yeah, San Diego, we rock craft beer. But any more than Portland? Any more than
you could say West Coast, Matt.
Yeah,
you could say West Coast.
They're killing it in Vermont. Asheville, North Carolina. We could go on and on about all these places that really have an interesting craft beer scene with quality breweries.
I think as craft beer gains more and more steam, that's where you really start seeing the territorial lines begin to blur, and no particular place able to hang their hat on being the craft beer mecca, right? Because like you said, everybody's kind of getting into the game right now. So, and that's a good thing for craft beer, right? Especially for us on the East Coast for so long. If we wanted a good hoppy beer, we had to go to get a beer from the West Coast. But now, since the game is changing, we can get it here on the East Coast too.
Well, there used to be this whole West Coast IPA and East Coast malty, Dogfish, Highland IPA. But I don't think that. I think the lines are blurring because they all just want to make good beer, and they want to make beer that people are buying. And those breweries in Vermont. Sip of Sunshine. Those are dry, hoppy IPAs. They don't.
Well, quite frankly, you have breweries that are actually brewing West Coast style or East Coast style, Midwest style. That they're brewing a variety of different IPA styles, and not just one that's specific to their region. Surly Brewing is a very good example. They've got a couple solid West Coast style IPAs. Their Furious is an excellent example of a Midwest style IPA or something you would experience, and I think they've also got a more maltier one. But you see that in a lot of breweries where they've actually got a variety and not just stuff catered to their particular region.
And we also kind of spoke about that on Friday. I think the West Coast IPA does have a distinction where they hop the bejesus out of everything. And East Coast breweries and obviously Midwest breweries, they can very well make those same styles. But I think that on the East Coast, I never found East Coast IPAs to be super malty. I just found them to be more balanced than their West Coast counterparts.
They're not super malted. Yeah, they're maltier.
The West is more of your tropical, like grapefruit, pineapple, mango stuff, and I think as far as the hoppy East Coast beers, they're much more of a piney, resiny kind of style.
See, I thought just the opposite.
Nah, see, to me, I've seen the piney, resiny much more on the East than on the West. I've gotten much more tropical notes out of the West. But that's just my experience and how I've just traveled through the IPA landscape. Everyone takes a different journey, I guess.
Yeah.
But anyway, so with a little help from Nielsen, the people who do your TV ratings, Nielsen and Market Watch, they came up with this. Trey Williams from Market Watch, rather, they came up with 10 cities that make craft beer a greater percentage of their local beer purchases than any other place. And since it's only 10, I'll go through the whole list. Hartford / New Haven, Connecticut. 25.5% of all their beer sold is craft beer. Columbus, Ohio, 25.9%. Grand Rapids, Michigan, 26.4%. I'm sure that's no surprise to anybody here. Cleveland, 29.2%, home of Great Lakes. Washington, D.C., 29.5%. I don't even live in D.C. I don't know why I'm getting...
Yeah, you're like, shout out to D.C. there, right? Those bastards.
Shout out to Mississippi.
Sacramento, California, 33% of all beer sold is craft beer. San Francisco, 34.7% is all craft beer. 34% of all beer sold is craft beer, and they're number 4 on the list. San Diego, California, 34.9% of all beer sold. Seattle, 38.2% of all beer sold. And anybody care to take a guess at the number 1 city where they sell more craft beer?
Gotta be in the Northwest, right?
Well, yeah, I'll give you that. Yep.
Portland.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go.
Portland. 43.5% of all beer sold in Portland is craft beer. So almost like half of the beer sold in Portland is craft beer. So,
but what I didn't hear there in that 10, what I didn't hear there that surprises me, I didn't hear Fort Collins or Denver or
Asheville.
Yeah, or Asheville. Well, Asheville's not really as big a city as like Denver would be, right? I mean,
they're just there's the largest amount of brewery per inhabitant.
But I mean, but Denver's a legit city, and for them not to be on that list, is it because isn't Anheuser-Busch, isn't Fort Collins where AB's big facility is anymore?
Yeah.
I think they make like half of their beer is made in Fort Collins or something.
For real? I did not know. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you have just outside of Denver, you have Coors, yeah,
and
Boulder, yeah. Golden, right? Yeah, that's it.
But you'd still think that they would make, I don't know. I guess with as bustling as that scene is, they need to drink more craft beer in Denver. This is my call out. If you're in Colorado, you've got to buy more craft beer. Put the weed down and get craft beer. I know it's legal there, but knock it off. We need the numbers.
But we hear a lot of. I asked a couple brewers about this, and we hear a lot of how difficult it is doing organic brews, right? Costs and everything. But if you look at Oregon, they're successfully getting a good amount of brewers that do only organic beer, and that counts for something for them, I think.
Yeah. So the point is,
they are also probably closer to source grain, or organic source malts and hops. So probably a little bit more of a cost advantage for them.
So that said, I mean, I don't think that any of the cities on this list surprise anybody. Well, I would not have pegged Cleveland to be on this list.
Yeah.
No.
But I mean,
I wouldn't have pegged Columbus to be on that list. Those are 2 cities in Ohio that, to me, they surprised me to hear them.
Well, so maybe we are surprised at some, because I'm damn sure surprised by Hartford, /New Haven, Connecticut too.
I don't know. That's like right up there in the the Vermont beer craze area.
No, but we're talking. Okay, well, name a brewery out of Connecticut.
Well, I mean, Sam Adams out of Boston, Massachusetts. I mean,
Trillion is in Boston.
Well, I'm just saying that.
No, I said name a brewery out of Connecticut.
Yeah.
So I'm saying the point. I mean, I understand they're in that beer area of the country, but for them to be even on this list when places like Colorado, and Fort Collins aren't on the list. I mean, for them to be on this list and we can't name one brewery in Connecticut.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of surprising.
For them to be there on the list, if we were to give Sam Adams credit for putting them on the list, well, then why wouldn't Boston itself be on there?
Well, I would like to actually see the details of the numbers behind this, because, I mean, all right, if Cleveland is on the list, how much distributing are they doing to get that percentage?
Yeah. I mean, Sacramento also was on there, and Sacramento doesn't seem to be like a major craft beer mecca, but they're so close to, like it mentions, they're so close to Sierra Nevada, Russian
Mhm.
River, Lagunitas that they're basically enjoying the fruits of all those other breweries that I guess distribute where they are. So
Yeah,
Sacramento is very high on the list because of the supreme quality that they can get their hands on.
that's
So I
a
guess
good
what we're
point.
saying is, with regards to Nielsen, there's statistics, damn statistics, and lies, right? So maybe
Yeah.
Nielsen's not any better at measuring city craft beer consumption than they
And I
are.
do take a slight beef with some of Portland's numbers because they're including, was it Widmer Brothers, who are part of
Oh,
that craft alliance that
right,
aren't
that's
really
Anheuser-Busch,
counted
right?
as craft beer as far as, I guess technically they don't really fall into the craft beer category
Right.
because they're Anheuser-Busch has a stake in them, and so but they're counting those numbers in here because I guess they're just not counting
Well.
macro beers, period.
Interesting.
Now I have no idea what percentage Widmer is of that 43.5%.
If we go that line, we could, think about, like, do they talk about just brewing the place or consumption? Like, what about consumption from beers coming from outside of the states? There's so many
Yeah, it
variables, so
counts all
it
of
would
those.
go
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah, it counts all of those. It doesn't matter if it doesn't mean 43.5% of the beer was brewed in Portland. It just means
Right.
the people there
That's
bought
consumed
that
from
much.
the So
Yeah.
I guess if the article doesn't go clear, then Market Watch needs to do a follow-up article and explain what they're qualifying as craft beer.
Yeah.
Because it could be a pretty broad, anything that isn't Bud Light, they're calling craft beer.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about the next thing. Michael's got something here.
Yeah, I do. From CNBC, they've got this story about craft beers getting heavy on the alcohol, and meaning that a lot of the breweries are spending or putting a greater percentage of their production and sales towards higher alcohol beers. Of course, I think for the majority of us on the panel, we're like, yeah, it's been there, done that. We've seen this news. This is no surprise to us. But according to this article, they say that the sales have grown 22% to $19.6 billion in 2014 of the overall craft beer scene, and of that, they say that there's been what are they saying, from 2011, 2012, around there, to 2013 and 2014. There's been an increase from about 6.2 to 7.4% of the beers produced were high ABV beers, and has grown to 11.7 to about 12.9%. So definitely a noticeable uptick in the number of big beers produced by breweries, which honestly is no surprise. I mean, we've seen, we have all seen the trend in bourbon barrel aging things and really big, double IPAs and imperial stouts and stuff. So frankly, this is not news.
Yeah.
I think this would constitute a slow news day at CNBC.
Right.
But I think Michael, some of it could have to do with making a big beer it gives something to hide behind for subpar breweries.
Yes.
Right? So, because if they make this beer that's kind of crappy, we'll just throw it in a bourbon barrel, and all of a sudden this crappy beer. If we throw it in a bourbon barrel, put some wax on the cap, and now we got a whale, bro. You know what I mean?
There's a lot of truth to that, because I mean, you can hide behind that bourbon flavor. You can but at the same time, I think the more discriminating palates would be able to pick out the really hot alcohols. So if you've got under attenuation, you'd probably be able to pick that out.
Mm-hmm.
Probably wouldn't care as much when you're 3/4 of the way through the bottle, but
I know, for me, I would love, and I know they can't do it, but I would love to have like a 4-pack that has like 2 regular and 2 bourbon barrel of the same beer,
Oh,
so
yeah.
you can do it side by side. That's probably not realistic in terms of how production lines run, but it'd be pretty cool if you can actually get them as a pair together.
Yeah.
Could be done, but that would be an expensive canning line to run 2 different lines together.
Well, there's a variety of packs, though, right?
There are. But they invest significantly to get those variety packs together.
Yeah.
With the explosion of craft beer in this country, inevitably you're going to get some bad ones, right?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
So those bad guys throwing beer in barrels, of course, the number of high ABV beers are going to go up just because of the sheer number of breweries out there. So,
and we've talked about this recently. Sometimes I don't want to call it beer snobs or beer whatever jargons they have out there, but sometimes a lot of people, just because it's a small brewery, will praise or not say bad things. I mean, sometimes we think, oh, it's a small brewery, so it must be good, and we have to call names too. I mean, if we love the craft we do, we have to say it's a bad brewery. It's and sometimes you can't deny that some big breweries do make some good beers too, and you might not drink them because other factors, not from the beers they make, but for other instance of their business. But the same thing has to work, on the inner circle. When you go to a small brewery or a mid-sized brewery or mid-sized brewery, if the beer is bad, you just have to say it's bad, and that's it. Doesn't matter if it's craft beer or not.
We've got that issue actually here in Minnesota. We've got the whole Minnesota Nice thing going on, and a lot of people are really, really forgiving about bad beer. And I'm not even going to name names, but we've got a couple bad breweries here that, quite frankly, should can their brewers and find some people that actually have great experience.
But see, the thing is, for those breweries that make bad beer, we have to say that out. We have to say that out loud, because that's going to be the thing. That's going to be the moment of attrition that causes the subpar breweries to kind of fall out of the market. I mean, God bless them.
Here's where I'm going to disagree, because this is where marketing comes into play. You can sell. All right, this is where we get explicit shit. You can sell absolutely crap beer, but market the hell out of it, and people will still buy it. A certain brewery with a hot pink bottle comes to mind.
Yeah. For a period of time, though. Marketing only goes so far.
No. Think about all the things that people are buying. Just in retail stores, not even beer or liquor, just crap things that people still continue to buy because it's marketed well, but it's subpar food or subpar products, but people still buy it.
Yeah, and going back to like the whale, you have that what's called like FOMO, which is like a big tech term. It's like fear of missing out. And you get that right marketing, and people are going to line up for something that you probably may not be worth lining up for 5 hours for that beer. It may not be worth waiting 2 minutes for that beer, but if they market themselves well.
I agree with Mike in some points, but at the same time, people really is into beer knows the difference. Like, you pick beers like Hardywood and Trillium and some other brews that are just a couple years old. And people in California know who they are, and they not even distribute outside of their states, or maybe just a couple of states. So there's the other side of the coin as well, where if you make good stuff, people are going to hear about it.
Oh, right, and I don't disagree with you at all, Randy. There are breweries in the area that, in my area at least, that they used to be really good and have really fallen by the wayside, and people have taken notice, and they don't go there as often. But that's only because they don't invest the kind of money that they need to in marketing to keep their business running well.
Yeah. Well. So Michael, how does that craft beer going heavy on alcohol and ABV juxtaposed to the increased, seemingly overnight, increased popularity in session?
That's a tremendous segue, Randy. Actually, I've got two great articles here. One's an older one from NPR, National Public Radio, and the other one from actual local newspaper here, the Star and Tribune, all about session beers. And I have personally seen it, at least locally here, and we see evidence of it nationally, that breweries are actually coming back to the good old-fashioned session beer, something that you can have, 3 or 4 and really not feel that compromise and still be able to carry on a good conversation with your friends or your family or whatever. Some of these examples we've seen, Founders has the all-day IPA.
Laguni's daytime.
Yeah, daytime. And New Belgium has the Slow Ride, one of my new favorites.
Stone's go-to.
Yeah, Stone go-to. And one of my new favorites is also featured in Star Tribune. Northgate Brewery is local here, and they have their get-together American Session IPA. And it's a growing trend because, I mean, let's be honest. When you go visit a brewery and you're going to sit down and enjoy some beers, you know, I can't speak for Randy. Randy's going to probably sit down and have quite a few of his own, like 10, 12, 13%, because that's sessionable to him.
12 is line on the sand. He just
12's the line on the sand.
12's the line, yeah.
All right, well, point being that, you know, a number of us who maybe not as have the liver of Superman.
Or rode their bikes to the brewery, right?
Yeah, right.
You know, want to sit and enjoy, you know, 3 or 4 beers and still feel great at the end of it. And breweries are taking notice of that, and it's great. It's refreshing to be able to enjoy, you know, a number of beers. And
part of it too is that the breweries are proving that you can imbue a lot of flavors.
Yes.
So-called session IPAs. You can have a beer with low ABV that you don't have to have a 10% beer just to have a nice flavorful beer. And there's a lot of nice low ABV with a lot of hop taste, a lot of
yeah, right. That's exactly it. You get a lot of hop. Things go out of balance that way, though. I mean, Pinner from Oscar Blues, I really like it. I mean, I like this. I like this style. I like the session IPAs because I'm a hophead. So I appreciate the fact that I can drink something that is significantly bitter, significantly fragrant and floral, and it's 4.5% or something like that. But I can say that, you know, you're not going to sit down and find a nice, well-balanced session IPA.
Actually, I disagree with that. You will find balanced session IPAs, and you can still, through dry hopping and wet hopping, you can still get a great deal of flavor and aroma without the bitterness.
Yeah. So what is the difference between? Here comes a question. What is the difference between a session IPA and an American Pale Ale?
That's a very good question.
Yeah,
marketing.
Yeah, I've always felt that the session IPA is the way the letters I, P, and A really sell. I mean, in beer right now, everybody wants an IPA. So being able to make a pale ale and call it a session IPA gives them some new marketing.
But personally, if you taste some of the IPAs or the session IPAs against regular pale ales, like I think of Summit's Extra Pale Ale against, say, Northgate's sessionable IPA, they still taste dramatically different because the malt profile is different. You know, it's not as dry as the session IPA, and the session IPA usually has loads of more aroma and flavor in terms of the hop profile.
See, I always viewed American Pale Ales to be, for me, the difference is ABV. American Pale Ales for me are like 5 to 6.5% ish, right? And then for me, below 5% is session territory. So that's, I mean, I know there isn't technically there probably is not much difference between a session IPA and a hoppy pale ale, but for me, the difference is dependent upon ABV.
Yeah. I would further extend that as there's probably also a difference in the malt bill as well. So there's going to be different characteristics of that malt profile.
I guess we have to get our BJCP friends on to tell us the truth.
I think that's good. Especially with the new BJCP guidelines that came out, too.
Yeah.
Two things on this topic before we move on, or I don't know what the plans, but I think that one of the challenges with session IPAs is having the right balance of body and drinkability, because I mean I want it to be refreshing, but at the same time I don't want to feel like I'm drinking hop flavored Dasani, right? And then also session IPAs are much better margins for the breweries. There's more money to be made in making session beers and be making, you know, barrel aged barley wines, right? So that's probably had a lot to do with it, with the the emergence of session IPAs here recently, I think brewers started realizing, wait, we can actually make more money selling lower ABV beer. So,
well, and what surprises me is that this hasn't caught on sooner, because we've got another brewer in the area, and they brew some classic old English style beers, which are very sessionable, and like this Scottish sessionable beer, which is like their Scottish beer is like 2.9%, but it's still chock full of flavor. You know, it's not like drinking beer flavored water. It's actually like drinking a regular beer, but it happens to be just under the 3.2 threshold, and still extremely flavorful, but extremely. It's just very profitable because your margin is much greater for profit because your ingredient bill is down.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I want to transition to the last story of the night, and the story is a sensitive topic because it talks about big beer and how they're trying to run the market and marketing and everything else. But the thing that makes me like Lewis Black angry is the website. So I get this link. A friend of mine sent me this link. It's from the Coloradoan, which is a Fort Collins newspaper. I click the link, and it's just like the Coloradoan website, right? I click the link, and the title of the article is in the tagline. I click the link, the website loads up, and immediately a pop-up comes up, and it's a whole screen, and the X to close it is not obvious, so it takes me a little while to close this thing. So then I close it, and the article is there, and there's one sentence, not even a full sentence, like a half of a sentence there. And then you have to take a survey. You have to answer like a survey question. Mm-hmm. To progress into the rest of the story. So Coloradoan. Yeah, so Coloradoan, I'm never coming back to your website, is what I'm saying. You're a great city for beer. You're a great city for beer. You guys are complete morons when it comes to, and then the whole page is like ads along the right side. If I want to build a bunk bed for my kid before school starts, it's just miserable. It's miserable. All right. So that's my. I wish I had like a cigar, like a Lewis Black, whiskey in one hand. Anyway. AB's growth may leave craft brewers fewer options. So there's the least shocking headline of all. But basically what it's boiling down to is, you guys remember when in Kentucky when Kentucky changed their laws, closed a loophole, I guess, to keep breweries from owning a distributor in Kentucky. So you can't own both. You can't own two layers of the distributor. So AB had to sell some of their distribution companies in Kentucky. And apparently they worked out a trade with American Eagle, which is a pretty decent-sized brewery. And they took over and bought some of their Colorado. I guess they traded some Colorado access for Kentucky access that they had to give up anyway. So now AB InBev owns a big distribution area in Fort Collins and Denver and Boulder and all those areas, and they're really kind of. I guess the thing that probably scared me the most about this was, here's the quote. Anheuser-Busch vice president puts out there: American Eagle currently sells approximately 20 non-AB brands. We're seeking to keep a handful of local brands pending supplier approval. So basically, they're just coming right out and saying, if you're not part of us, you stand a pretty good chance of getting dumped. So now we talk about all these little guys who have worked hard to get distribution opportunities, and now they're going to be put right back out on the street. So, yeah, there are smaller distributors that are going to pick you up, but go to your grocery store right now and look at the shelf, and you'll see the distributor that carries AB brands has all of the shelf space.
Yep.
And that other guy has got like 3 or 4 feet of the cooler space out of eyesight.
Mm-hmm.
So those kind of things are happening on a bigger scale, and it kind of frustrates me.
Well, they're basically the Comcast of the craft beer, the Comcast of the beer industry.
Yeah.
And here's again why we bash AB. So I mean, it has nothing to do with the beer. There's all this discussion on the web. Oh, because their beers are technically good, they make good style. Our problem with AB has nothing to do with the beer they make, although I have that too, but that's not the basis for the problem that I have with AB. And I myself, I'm not going to speak for Craft Beer Nation, but myself, has nothing to do with what they put out on the shelves. My problem with them is their corporate mindset and the way they do business. That's that's all the wrongs that you can imagine,
It's just
on
about
any segment.
It's just about profits. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, and I honestly feel like I get that it's about profits, but what really is the point in buying up almost this whole distribution network in a state like Colorado where craft beer is massive? What's your end game? It cannot be anything other than either A, squeezing out some of these craft breweries, or B, priming yourself to pitch an offer to them that they can't refuse, and so you can gobble them up. I mean, like Gil said, it's about the ethics as a company, not about the beer at all. We know the story about the beer and the style and how difficult it is or whatever, but it's the ethics behind the company and how they crap on the people who are truly passionate about craft beer and try to get them out of the marketplace via these strategies, vice making a better product than them.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess you can look at it from both sides. If you own stock in AB InBev, then man, make me money and go do it. But it doesn't seem to be. It doesn't embrace the mentality of marketplace innovation that we're looking for.
Yeah, it ain't on the level.
It ain't on the level. That's right. Yeah. So, all right, we don't need to beat the AB InBev horse to death because
they've been doing a good job last year of beat themselves.
Yeah, that's right.
I get fired up. AB. I get fired up so easily when we talk about AB, man.
It's like Coors Miller doesn't even exist, right? We just don't hate them as much, I guess. So
their marketing is a little better.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I guess, or they're just non-existent. I mean, those guys are never in these conversations, right?
Nope.
I mean, they bought a stake in Terrapin a while back, but you never see Miller Coors throwing money around. So, I guess did they merge with somebody European too?
I don't even care.
I don't even. Anyway, all right. Let's talk about the beer we want to talk about that's released. Noda out of Charlotte. I just saw a picture of the can. It's pretty funny. Gorgeous pumpkin ale they've got coming out. It's brewed with 100 pounds of organic sugar and caramelized brown sugar, cracked spices, and 42 pounds of pumpkin. That comes out the last week of August here. So that gorge, you can see it, right? Gorgeous. I don't have to spell it out with all. Right. But that's our good friends at Noda. Did you guys see they're doing another episode of Chad's Hangout?
Yeah.
He's got Sam Calagione on it. This next one, I think it's the 14th. That might be tomorrow, I guess.
I think it's tomorrow. So, Kicking It with Chad. Kicking It with Chad, and he's got Sam Calagione on there. We can't book Sam Calagione, but they can get him for like their 4th episode. We're not nearly as cool as Chad Anderson of Noda. Right.
Oh, in defense of Sam, he talked to us in Savers, so he was on.
He did. Yeah. That was really made. I was just jealous, really. So I'm gonna send Chad some hate mail or something. I think maybe. Tree Tavern in Decatur, Georgia. Inceptus Wild Ale. It's aged on wine barrels that came out last week. I don't know. Has anybody? I have not had any Tree Tavern.
They had that coffee quadruple or coffee double. I think it was a coffee Duvel. Yeah, that's what they had at one time that everybody was talking about for a while. Which was kind of a unique style to do.
Upslope in Boulder has got a Belgian-style quad in a can. It's a 12.8% beer in a can. Came out yesterday, so if you've got Upslope in your region, look out for that.
They can all their beers, right?
I think so.
They do.
Yeah, and they just Jester King in Austin, Texas. It's got Vulgar Affection Farmhouse, a year-old ale brewed with lemon bee balm and horehound growing wild around the brewery.
What the heck is lemon bee balm?
I have absolutely no idea.
It's kind of a weed, right? It's like a weed. It's like a horehound, just grows wild.
All right, so they went out and they mowed the grass and they brewed a beer with it. I mean, how awesome is that? That's what you get from Jester King, right? You expect that kind of crazy stuff. St. Arnold in Houston, Texas. A little shout out to the one of our good viewers here tonight is a good. He loves St. Arnold. He sent me some St. Arnold stuff too. So, Houston, Texas. Art Car IPA. It's an American IPA brewed with a variety of new and old Pacific Northwest hops. I don't really know what that means by old and new. I guess new styles and old styles, I guess, of Pac Nor. Hops Heavy Seas in Baltimore, Maryland has got their Greater Pumpkin bourbon barrel aged. It comes out the first week of September.
Excellent pumpkin beer. From all the beers we had last year.
They do a version of that that's regular, and then they bourbon barrel age it, or do they only
that's the Great Pumpkin, and this is the Greater Pumpkin.
All right, that's the difference then. All right, so is the Great Pumpkin out now then?
I think so. I think it came a week or two earlier. Yeah, I have to check that.
All right, Dry Dock in Aurora, Colorado. It's got the 2015 there in Imperial Pumpkin Ale. It came out last week. Here we are, early August, talking about pumpkin ales coming out last week.
That just makes me mad.
Before Oktoberfest, right? That's
right.
It's wrong. Right. That is absolutely wrong. You do not do your pumpkin beer before Oktoberfest.
Well, Upland Brewing in Bloomington, Idaho, has got their Oktoberfest coming out last week, a Bavarian-style lager. Two Roads in Stratford, Connecticut. It's got Rosemary's Baby Pumpkin Ale aged in Caribbean rum barrels. Came out last week. Santan in Phoenix has got their Oktoberfest out last week. Ale Works in Williamsburg has got Fresh Hop Virginia, Fresh Hop VA, August 15th. That comes out this weekend. And Aviator in North Carolina has got Pumpkin Beast that's out last week. So if you're listening to the theme of our releases this week, it's Pumpkin Ales and Oktoberfests. So.
Yeah. And I'll say Ale Works, it's not on here, but it's already out. But Ale Works makes a good pumpkin ale.
Is that out already too?
Yeah, thanks.
I saw somebody posted a picture with their Cafe Royale. They had another release of that. Yeah. So
Ale Works, Weyerbacher, and the best one I've ever had, Cigar City Good Gourd. Good Gourd.
Good Gourd. That's probably on my top 5 pumpkin beers. Yeah.
Yeah, and you nailed them though too. Ale Works and Weyerbacher too. I love those. In fact, I think I have a Weyerbacher from last year. So.
Just don't forget Three Beans is on the shelves now. Four beans.
4 beans, right?
The 4 beans. That was about to say the 3 beans. I tried to hide there. The 3 beans now. So they have the vanilla was added as the new bean. They said it kind of link all the beans in there.
What
have you had it yet?
Yeah, it's excellent. I'll talk more after we end the show, but yeah, it's worth to get a 4-pack or a
12-pack or
like
a
19-pack.
Yeah,
yes.
I'm just gonna sit here and jizz out looking at your shelf there with the 4 beans on your shelf.
Just wait for Gil to send you one, right?
No, I'm seeing him in a few weeks.
Yeah, well, I remember the music. He played the Star Wars theme as he brought the 3 beans up onto the screen.
Oh no, that was the 2001 or whatever it was, Space Odyssey.
That's what it was. You're right. It was Space Odyssey. Festivals coming up here. DC Beer Week is going on right now. That is the reason that we do not have Brandon Scald and Jeff Hancock on the show tonight. So they are busy in DC this week. Randy has been trying to get out to as many of the events as possible, but it is the 9th through the 16th. It goes on through Monday. If you're in DC, you probably are not having any trouble finding cool tap takeovers or cool bottle releases or cool things going on in DC, so get out and enjoy that. Bend Brewfest in Bend, Oregon is the 13th through the 16th, so that starts tomorrow and goes out, or today, I guess, and goes out through next week. North American Organic Brewers Festival. You guys, sight unseen, let me read that again and then tell me what state it's in. North American Organic Brewers Festival.
I already talked about it.
That's in Oregon. That's Portland, Oregon. That's this weekend, the 13th through the 16th. Stone Brewing's 19th anniversary Brewers Reception is in San Marcos, California, on the 14th and 15th. That's this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Stowe's Brewers Festival in Stowe, Vermont, is the 14th and the 15th. Stanley Cup Microbrew Festival, Saratoga, New York, on Saturday the 15th. Summer Beer Dabbler is in St. Paul, Minnesota on the 15th. You going to go to that, Michael? You know where that's?
I wish I could go. But
yeah, alas. Yeah. It's too far to ride your bicycle. West Virginia Beer Week statewide is the 15th through the 22nd of August. So go out on Sunday, and I don't know if you can buy beer in West Virginia on Sunday or not, and some places in Virginia you can't. So go out and find an event in West Virginia if you're living out there. So those are the releases. You guys going to any festivals coming up?
I wish I was going to DC Beer Week, but
yeah,
my kids take priority.
Absolutely. There's one in 2 weeks here coming up, and I don't know if I'm going to go to it or not. I probably am not, just because of other things on the schedule. But the Virginia Brewers Festival, Virginia Craft Beer Festival. It's essentially sponsored by and put on at Devil's Backbone in Nelson County, and it's a big party. It's a couple of, you can camp there, and the music and the thing, and they judge beer and stuff, and that's coming up here. I believe it's next weekend. So there are festivals all over the place this time of year, so you don't have to look hard to find one in your area. So get out and enjoy it.
Have you guys seen the list of breweries on the? Because of Stone going to have 2 days. The 15th is this anniversary celebration, but the 14th they have the brewery gasting thing. The list is just huge. It's like bigger than most.
Yeah.
Huge. Bigger than most.
Huge.
Huge.
Frickin'. Put frickin' in the front there. Frickin'.
So if you live near Stone, take a peek at that. And if you didn't buy a ticket, cry.
Scalp one from somewhere. All right, that's our show this week. Next week, we'll hopefully have a guest lined up next week, and we'll be back on Thursday. If not, we'll have some fun conversation with the guys we got. So we will be back in 7 days with another episode of Pints and Quarts. Until then, everybody, thanks for tuning in. Find some great craft beer. Find some good friends. Mind those P's and Q's.
This has been Pints and Quarts, brought to you by Craft Beer Nation. You can show your support for our podcast by subscribing to our content on YouTube, Stitcher, iTunes, or our website, craftbeernation.org. Thanks for listening.